Hey guys, it's John and Jackie of OpenLove101.com, and we went to this amazing workshop a couple of weeks ago in Austin, Texas called True, Sex, and Wild Love. Is that right?
I think that's right, yeah.
And it really was. It was wild. And at the end of this video, we're going to tell you about the most wild thing that happened at this, the way we were amazed about it. It was pretty cool. It was put on by, hosted by Aubrey Marcus and his fiancée, Whitney Miller. Their guest was Wednesday Martin, who is an author that wrote a book called Untrue that Jackie has read. She actually read most of it to me, so I consider myself as having read it as well. You liked that book, didn't you?
No, I did. And I wrote a blog not too long ago talking about the encounter that I had with this amazing author. She's a PhD, and her book really centers around a lot of the science of women and how much of what we have been taught about who we are is just not true. It's untrue.
Yeah.
So it was really an eye-opening book. And so as soon as I found out that she was going to be speaking in Austin, I was just all over. I was like, John, we have to go to this. We have to, we have to see what she has to say. And then to find out that Aubrey Marcus and his partner, Wednesday Miller,
Whitney Miller.
Whitney Miller.
Yes.
Sorry.
And they're in an open relationship, by the way.
Yes, yeah. And, they have such great energy and have such a great message. And, like you and I, they're open. They're out there. They're trying to get the word out that an open relationship has so many benefits to the couples that interact in those. So again, it was like, oh my gosh, we have to go listen to all three of these people and what they have to say, and just find out what it is.
Yes, and they really are out there talking. They're out. That's really the term I use today for us and other people like us. We're out, and then a lot of people that come to our clubs or people that we know in open relationships, they're secretive about it. They want to hide it from their family and their careers, their jobs, because they feel like they have to, and we get that as well. But it was so refreshing to be in this room of, 60 or 70 other couples that are in open or polyamorous relationships. I didn't really hear the word swinger used very much in there. And the other amazing thing is these younger people that were there, anybody we talked to there had not heard about our club in Austin, which is kind of crazy as well. So we found that there's another area that we need to really reach out to, because everyone that we talked about it would have loved to have come to the club, and they have since then. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so, so we get there, right? And we're just kind of mingling around. We're introducing ourselves. We see Wednesday Martin, we see Whitney, we see Aubrey, we go introduce ourselves. And then finally, once everybody's there, we get seated, and Wednesday Martin gets up. She's first, and she just gives this great presentation about women. It's geared to women. There's men in the audience, obviously, but the women, you could really tell they were starting to sit up a little straighter in their seats, and the guys were starting to lean forward a little bit, because some of the information that she was revealing were things like women are just as sexual as men. Women love variety. One of the most interesting things that she talked about is when you took couples between year 1 and year 4 of them being together, especially if they're in a monogamous relationship, and I'm not saying anything negative about monogamy, but this was the test that it was done within, is the men stayed pretty consistent. There was a little bit of a decline as far as the sexual attraction and whatnot within that first 4 years, but for the women it was a drastic difference. It just kind of went along, and then it just dropped. It just like Wednesday said, it went to the sub-basement. It was really interesting to find out that from a scientific standpoint, that variety that she was talking about that women tend to lean towards is a proven fact. It was just really kind of mind-blowing. And these men in the audience, some of them were really concerned about that. Well, what can I do? How can I be more pleasing? How can I, what are some tips and tidbits that I need in order to make this different? And essentially what she's saying is that's kind of our innate nature. I mean, it's not something that you're doing wrong. It's not necessarily anything that you can physically do. It's just the nature of who we are. And so it really was kind of a stepping stone to me as to why this branching out into, and it's not new, but branching out into open relationships or poly relationships or swinging or however you want to label it, why that's really viable. We're finding out that matters.
Yes.
So it was just information like that was just, everybody was leaning into what she had to say.
It was very reaffirming. We've been doing this I've been doing it a very long time, and Jackie a long time, and there have been times where Jackie has kind of fallen back to, is this really what I want to be doing right now? So I remember years ago, a friend of mine, he kept encouraging me, John, you can't be doing this isn't good for you, and really negative about it. And I realized, and there were times I thought, is what I am doing wrong? Because there's a lot of people in our society that really do think it's wrong. But what I had found is I was happy and my partner was happy. And I got a lot of joy from seeing other people that were in open relationships and how successful those relationships were. Long-term relationships. And I began to realize that there's more than one option in having a relationship. And I know it's a fact because when we talk about the options that we have here in the United States, for instance, it's one man, one woman, strictly monogamous, marriage, only one marriage, you can't get divorced, that type of attitude. But if you look around the world, there are many, many types of relationships out there, relationship models that are successful, that work. So why doesn't this one work? And we didn't know back then, I didn't know a lot about how many people were out there that were in the kind of relationship that I was in. But we're finding today there are so many people, and that's the cool thing about being at this event. The other day saw so many people that were so excited about being in this kind of relationship.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it wasn't just people from Austin. I mean, these were people that were traveling from even outside the United States that wanted to come and listen to this and learn and take home some new information to help them on their journey. Not only was it amazing enough to listen to Dr. Wednesday Martin talk about her book, which at the end of this we'll have, some kind of information about how you can get the book because it's amazing. But then to also listen to Aubrey and Whitney talk about their relationship, the struggles, the successes. It's just like any other relationship. You're gonna go through the highs and the lows as you are, learning how to ride that wave of the relationship. But, it always kept going back to trust, honesty, love, being able to share the fullness of who you are with other people, and how just because you're in a relationship doesn't mean that's supposed to stop.
No.
I mean, if anything, if you're in a relationship, it should allow you more freedom. We want to associate a relationship with scarcity somehow. And so it was really amazing to see, not only everybody in the audience, but then these two speakers get up there and just really talk about how growth inspiring this was for their relationship, and how this woman is now friends with all of these other women that in today's society we would be taught that those are supposed to be our enemies because they had a previous relationship with their now partner. And you and I have experienced that as well. I have some great friends today that were past women in John's life. And we really miss out on that aspect in society by constricting ourselves, shutting ourselves off to these people that can really be a benefit to us.
Yes. And didn't you find too, like hearing Aubrey and Whitney tell their story and specifically about how they struggled with fear
Yes.
and jealousy in the beginning. Didn't you relate to that?
No, for sure. And I think, I was really impressed with Whitney, especially when she was like, this was hard. It wasn't easy. It really made me stretch outside myself, outside my comfort zone. And just because I was stretching outside of that didn't mean it was wrong. It meant I was doing something different. I was learning something different. And it's like any other success that you attain in life. You take all of that hard work that you put into getting to that point as something really, I can pat myself on the back that I did that.
And we've been through that as well.
Yes.
And one of the other things that I took from this event was that it was so refreshing to hear them share their story. And I could say to myself, oh, I've been there. And it becomes a tribe of people that you can share your experience with and help grow together. And so if you're struggling with something, to have other friends that are in this lifestyle or in this type of relationship, to be able to talk with them and share, or have them talk with you and share what they're going through, and you say, well, this is what we did and it worked for us. That's another one of the great things I took out of it, the importance of surrounding yourself with people that are going through the same thing you are. We not only do it in our relationships, but I try and do it, or I don't try, I do it in my career, in my business. I want to have people that are doing much better than me and learn about them and how they were able to reach this level of success.
Well, so get this. So here we are, all of these couples sitting out in the audience, and towards the end of their speech, they have all of the people in the audience break off into like 3 and 4 couples apiece, and they tell us, here's our assignment. We're going to build a pizza, and our pizza is really supposed to be our relationship, and our toppings are the things that we allow into the relationship. And so what we're supposed to do in these groups is we build this pizza and we decide what the toppings are. What a great activity, because you have these people, like John and I, we've been in an open relationship for years, and we have other people that are dabbling. And so when we start talking about what are our topics, are we going to allow our partner to go on a date with someone else? And other people are like, oh no, I could never do that. And then other people are like, oh yeah, that's fine. You start to see how different everybody is. They still have the same goal in mind. They're still trying to do something that enhances their relationship, that brings them peace, brings them joy, brings them closer. But everybody has a slightly different recipe for what that is. Mm-hmm. I mean, we can still build something. I think our group ended up deciding we were going to have a half and half.
Yeah, we did.
Like thin crust and deep dish. I don't know.
And then this exercise is really a great exercise for you to do with your partner together. You build a pizza together and see where you stand, where you can compromise and come together on what you're going to make your relationship to be.
Yeah, and that's the important thing, is you get to decide. You get to decide. It doesn't matter what anybody else says is acceptable, or what you should do, or if you're doing this doesn't, this means you don't love your partner, or if you do this, it does mean you love them. It doesn't have anything to do with any of that. You know you. Your partner knows themselves, and it's about the two of you coming together and deciding, how do we make this work for us? For us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, are we ready for the end?
Let's go. Let's tell them.
Okay. So during part of the speech, Wednesday Martin, the very first things she did when she got up to talk is she held up this
pink
contraption, and honestly, it looked like a mouth guard, which actually somebody in the audience had
or some kind of a
suggested,
bone from an animal,
or a wishbone. And so she gets up and she asks, does anybody know what this is? And of course we did hear wishbone, mouthpiece. She went to put it in her mouth. The wishbone looked, though, like it had 2 sets of wings, and it was about this tall. It's a clitoris.
A clitoris.
And that's when we found out that the clitoris is 4 inches in length. It's packed with 7,000 nerve endings. The clitoris and the penis are made from the same material, essentially. They start out the same, and then they kind of branch off once nature decides whether this is going to be a boy or a girl. And women can, we can get hard-ons, we can ejaculate. I mean, it was just all of this really information. And what was really astounding is that so much of this information about the clitoris and the size of it, it's not just that little nub that we see, there's this huge thing back behind it, that's a fairly recent discovery. As far as finding out about the sensitivity to it and what it controls and how it makes us feel, it was so weird. So here we are, we're finding out about this pink thing, and at the very end, one woman in the audience got up and asked a question about the clitoris. I can't even remember what the question was, because all I remember is she said, "Here, I'm going to let you have this." And I just remember thinking, I want that. I want it was almost like a badge of knowledge, this 3D model of the female clitoris, and how detached, I realized how detached I was from even knowing about my body and what it was capable of. And that's when it really hit me that it is part of my goal to talk about this, to get this out on the table. It's time for the women of this world to just embrace the sexuality, to acknowledge the sexuality, to come up against society with books like Untrue and couples like Aubrey and Whitney and you and I getting out there and saying, no, we don't just have to accept the status quo because somebody's told us we're supposed to. Let's dig into this. Let's find out scientifically who we are, and emotionally who we are and what we want.
It's pretty amazing that we know so much, science learns so much about the human anatomy and what everything does. There's so much we know about the brain and so much we're learning about it, and to ignore women's sexuality, that just blows my mind, because that's really what it is. It's like, no, don't go there. There's no reason to examine that and figure out how all that works. And in the past, I don't know, it's been probably in the past 20 or 30 years. I don't remember the exact date where they really learned all this about the clitoris and everything that's attached to it. But it hasn't, it's pretty recent where this information has come out, and it blows my mind.
Another reason to get her book too, because she really touches on that scientific information about that. So yeah.
We had so much fun, and we're going to do more of these. It's great to hear from other people that are going through the same things we're going through. And Jackie and I love our relationship, and we want to keep putting out there. There's more options than the standard one.
No, for sure.
So, thanks for listening to us.
See ya.